Hey, I'm Mindy Kinnis. This is the Daily Rage. Today I want to talk about multi-propping, or in other words, trading multiple prop firms. So the way that I do it, over here on the left, you can see TradeFunder, and they use this thing called volumetrica charting. And here is Apex on the right, and I trade that on NinjaTrader. So at most prop firms, you can select which platform you want. Now, one way to do it is to just put them all in NinjaTrader and do multiple connections and like do a trade copier and that whole thing. One, that's a little high tech for my pay grade. But beyond that, I actually like having two separate, like completely separate systems. Why? Because sometimes there's a rhythmic issue and I like can't log in to this stuff over here. And then sometimes I would say less likely, but it does happen recently, like with the Cloudflare outage. TradeFunder was unavailable, so I couldn't log into this. So it's not a bad idea to have backups and systems in place that if like one thing goes down, you have another way to access accounts and trade for that day. So now let's talk about a few of the pros and cons of these things. And I've talked about this before. I will link that video at the end of this one. But the best thing about Apex, in my opinion, is you can have up to 20 accounts and you can scalp, which is really like my bread and butter. You can see up here, I have this stopwatch because the reason I have that is on TradeFunder, one of their rules is that you have to wait at least 15 seconds. Like once you place the trade, even if you're profitable, if that trade hasn't lasted 15 seconds, it's not going to count toward your profit. Now, of course, if you have a loss within the first 15 seconds, that does count as a loss. But they don't want you to be scalping, which is their point. And I'm like, good, like that's mostly how I make my money. But it's their money, so their rules. So in this case, I have to adapt my strategy. And that's why I have this stopwatch up here. So I can literally like enter a trade on one of these things over here, start my timer, and then make sure I am 15 seconds in, especially because I like to trade the NASDAQ. That can get really, really herky jerky. But the biggest pro for the TradeFunder side is that this is instant funding. So there is no evaluation. You get to go directly to the front of the line and be making real money or losing right away from the beginning. And the reason that I want to talk about this today is that all of this stuff is on sale. Apex is 80% off right now, but that's only available through tonight. So I have a link and a coupon code for you down below. Go ahead and check that out. Take advantage of the 80% off sale. And TradeFunder right now is also on sale for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc. And right now they have the biggest sale that I've ever seen them offer, which is 40% off. Now that one will be ending on Thursday, so you're going to want to lock that in ASAP and get started in your instantly funded account. It's so great. I remember when I first started with TradeFunder, I think it was the end of last year, so maybe about a year ago, I got my first payout, like actually money in the bank within 2 weeks. So let's just say that was an entirely different experience than I had had with Apex. All this trailing threshold business over here, like that's a pain in the butt. That doesn't exist on TradeFunder. Now, they do have an overall drawdown, of course. They're going to put some guardrails on so the lunatic trader doesn't show up as often. But to me, it's a much more freeing system other than that 15-second rule. So there's also a link and a coupon code down below for this one. Again, this does end Thursday. Apex sometimes does extend their sales, so who knows what'll happen after tonight. But this one definitely will be ending on Thursday. 40% off is massive. Like I said, they've never offered that much off as long as I've been a customer there. So now would be the best time to dive in based on whichever one is your preference. I'm Mindy Kinnis. Thanks so much for watching.